everyone, and thank you for tuning in again. My name is Shauna, and in this video, I wanted to share with you what we used for the 2018-2019 school year, what I kind of thought about it, where we are. And I just want to warn you right now that it might be kind of a letdown for you. I don't know. There's so many ways to homeschool, and I have more, I feel, of a gentle approach to especially young children. I personally don't want to throw so much work at them, especially like sitting down work. So we didn't do a lot of that. But maybe that'll be a comfort to you if you're new to homeschooling and you have smaller children and you think that there's so much that you have to do. Please know that there's not. There's not a lot that you have to do. Take your children through life with you. Learn things through your everyday living. It's all there for you and you will be fine. I have 5-year-old twins. They just turned 5 in June, and my older twins just turned 7 in July. Each set is a boy and a girl. And because of where their birthdays fall, they would always be very young in the grade. So we kind of waited a year, and so basically next year my older ones will be going into first, and this past year we kind of did a kindergarten with them, if you want to put like a grade on it. I'm not big into putting grades on things, but it helps people when I'm talking about kind of where they're at. Now, last year was also our first year that we were required to register with the state because of their ages. So I had to do my very first homeschool evaluation. I was so nervous. And very surprised at how it went. Good surprise. I'll do another video on that later. I'm in Florida, so our rules really aren't hard to follow here. And just thinking about it, I'm like, why don't more people do this? It's not that difficult to navigate. And I don't know, I'm kind of nerdy though, so all of this is fun for me. I absolutely love it. So let me just go ahead and show you what we used for our school year last year. And I'll kind of explain the things that we did that we didn't have bookwork on. So first of all, we had math. I started them with Right Start, which I love. This is so hands-on, and it really teaches to a ton of different learning styles, especially my son who loves to touch things. He has to touch things all the time. This was perfect for him. There's lots of games in here. In fact, you're learning your math mainly through games, and I really recommend this. I thought it was fantastic. This is one of the more expensive curriculums because it comes with a ton of manipulatives, but once you buy them, you have them for the next levels. But I really, really enjoyed this. Now, my daughter, she wasn't doing so well with this. She likes colors and pictures and cute things, and I feel like math doesn't come easily to her like it comes easily to my son. And so what I did for her, because I just saw her slipping away, you know, with that kind of glazed look when we talk about math. So I ended up getting her Math Lessons for a Living Education through Master Books, and this one is everything that she loved. It had things for her to draw and pictures for her to color and stories. So she absolutely loved this one. Now, we went through Right Start, and I bought these books for both of them towards the end of the school year. And they did, both of them completed the entire math book. This is level 1 in less than 3 months. Because of the foundation Right Start had given them, they flew through this. But there were a couple things in here that Right Start hadn't quite covered, so I wanted them to be prepared for next year with level 2. So we just breezed through this, but they had fun doing that, so they're fine. Now for next year, I'm going to be continuing Right Start with my son, Master Books for my daughter, but I bought a Master book for my son because I think he's going to want to do it anyway because he just loves math that much. So I'll do Right Start with him while I'm doing Master Books with her. He'll probably want to do it too, so I got him a book as well. It's fine. Now with our language arts, we used Logic of English. We were able to go through book A and book B. We could have done book C, but I just wanted to stop and give them a break because when you get to book C, it's much more kind of in depth and the lessons can be a little bit longer. So we just kind of breezed through this because again, They were 6, but I had them in technically kindergarten. So a lot of this, they just knew naturally from us doing tons of reading. So this was not difficult for them. They started out the school year not reading. Now they are reading. My daughter is an exceptional reader. She actually taught her little sister how to read when she was 4. And my son is doing well reading. He's not as fluent as my daughter, but that's not really a surprise to me, but he's doing so well. I'm so proud of where he's at. For Logic of English, you can pick between cursive or print, and we picked cursive, so I started out with cursive. And it teaches you, it's a brilliant way how it teaches you how to do the cursive letters. I loved it. But then it went from cursive letters straight into sentences, and there was some kind of disconnect. So I found this on Half a 100 Acre Wood, the letter connector. It's exactly what it is. It helps them with how to connect their letters, and then it gives them a word at the bottom to write out. And so they did 1 section per day, takes less than 2 minutes to do, and that has really helped their cursive. Then we went through Song School Latin. This one right here, book 1. I bought the teacher edition. I didn't need this. They're so little, I didn't need this. This is also something we did not stress about. It was just kind of a couple times a week we put in the CD. This says DVD, but we put in the CD. And actually we didn't even watch the I think we watched it 1 time, but we would just do the CD, and then I would read them some of the things in the workbook. They didn't fill out the workbook. So we basically just went through the CD whenever we felt like it, and they really enjoyed it. This year we're going to be doing Spanish, and I'll probably decide which one I want to continue with. The classical side of me really wants to continue with Latin. The more practical side of me wants to continue with Spanish. So we'll see. Maybe we'll do both. I don't know. This book was actually in our morning basket, and there was a couple things in our morning basket that we're going to move over into next year. This one is First Language Lessons for the Well-Trained Mind. It gives poems to memorize. It gives you kind of brief grammar instructions, how to address letters, what it means, what lines you put things on. Every house has a number, and then a street name, and then a city, and a state, and a zip code, and all those things. And also how to address people, Mr., Mrs., just little things like that. So again, we did this very loosely in our morning basket. And that is about it as far as curriculum-wise for the older ones. We obviously read our Bible. The rest of the stuff, we did poetry tea times, so on every Friday we would invite a friend. I would have a different child each time help me bake something new. And so I would teach them just baking skills and measuring and mixing and ingredients and stuff like that. And then we would sit around and with our beautiful snacks and drinks and everything, and we would read poems. We did a ton of read-alouds. We actually read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, I think 3 times, and then we started listening to it on audiobook, and it's narrated by Anne Hathaway. She does a fantastic job. So if you get Wonderful Wizard of Oz on audiobook, make sure you get it narrated by Anne Hathaway. I always like to read them the book first before we listen to the audiobook, because I feel like if we listen to the audiobook first, then when I'm reading it to them, they're saying, that's not how he says that. That's not his voice. And I'm like, oh. So I always make sure to read it first, and then we'll go over to the audiobook. Then we did Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. So we read through that. And we have the narrated version by Scarlett Johansson, which is pretty awesome. Winnie the Pooh, and we read that a ton. That one, my favorite narrator is Peter Dennis. He's fantastic. We read Because of Winn-Dixie, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. There's a couple others that we read. Right now we're reading Tale of Despereaux, and it's just so much fun. We just read a ton of books. We each have a library card that's always maxed, so we probably have 100 books in the house from the library at any given time. We go through a ton of picture books. We're just always reading. And that's where a lot of our information comes from. And when they're asking questions, well, where is this, or what does this mean? That all counts as learning. And I think that's what sometimes we have to remember, is that just because I'm reading a book, that's not just reading. That can be history, it can be geography, it can be grammar, all of these things coming from just reading aloud. For my little ones, I know I said in a previous video that I didn't do any workbooks or anything with them. I kind of lied because I forgot that I didn't purchase anything for them specifically to do, but they wanted to do something because they saw the older ones doing things. So I actually got these books, I think just from Amazon or maybe Sam's, I don't remember. And this one had stickers in the back, and so each page had stickers that you would put on it as you completed the lesson. This one was for my little daughter, and she actually did the entire book. I never told her to sit down to do it. I never told her she had to do a certain amount of pages or a certain page at all. She literally did this whenever she wanted to, and she completed the whole thing on her own. And a lot of times when she wanted to do it and I just couldn't because, do something with her, I was cooking or cleaning or whatever, my older daughter would sit down and read her what she needed to do. So I thought that was just so sweet and just a fun way for them to bond as well. My younger son had this one, School Day Skills. Again, just the very basic stuff. He only got halfway through the book, which, again, totally fine. I didn't require anything for them. Now, both of them always sat around when we were doing work on the older kids. So they have picked up a ton of stuff just from listening to them. And I just think that that's fantastic. The other thing that we have are all of these tracing books that they love to do. I bought these for fun, but, works. Letters, numbers, sharks, tractors, color shapes, animal babies, all of those. There is, again, numbers, just little things like that they pull out, again, do whenever they want to. It's usually when I'm sitting down with the older ones doing math or language arts because they want to feel like they're doing something too. One of the last things we have, this is called Can You Find Me? It's just critical thinking skills. It's these little riddles. So you see a little riddle and then you point to the picture, that's the answer. This particular book was for pre-K, but all 4 of them love doing these. I also have the K through 1, I think, too. It's a green one, but they loved those. In our morning basket, we would learn hymns, so we learned a different hymn. We have our art study. We did Van Gogh, and I had them do some really cool Christmas Van Gogh paintings, and then just a couple other books that I would throw in there. But that's about it. We did a ton of hiking when the weather got cooler. I'm here in Florida and it's really hot. So when the weather gets cooler, we went out and we were at a ton of different national parks and state parks and museums, lots of things outside. So that was pretty much our school year for 2018-2019. It was very relaxed, very easy, and we all had a blast. We didn't have any tears or meltdowns, and obviously going into next year, I have a few more things to add that we'll be doing, but I still want to keep it very relaxed, very gentle. My goal is to just teach them that learning is fun. And that learning is enjoyable, and you should love learning new things. And when you have a passion about something, we can go towards that. If it's horses, like for my daughter, and she loves drawing, so we do some YouTube drawing videos. It's tornadoes and weather for my son, so we're constantly reading weather books and watching tornado documentaries on YouTube, and just things like that they're learning, but it's not a curriculum. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Let me know what you'd like to see a video on. And please subscribe and hit the little bell at the bottom so that you know when my next video comes out. And I will see you next time. Have a great day.